San Francisco looks extremely dirty and unsafe. I feel that this happens because of several reasons, but one of them, in my opinion, is the local government is trying to be overly nice, which is why homeless people are not motivated to change their lifestyle. And here is what I mean by that. San Francisco has faced challenges related to homelessness and substance abuse, and the city has experimented with various harm reduction strategies, including supervised injection sites and the distribution of clean needles. The city believes that such efforts are aimed at reducing the negative health impacts associated with drug use. When I was a child, I learned an important lesson. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. When a city gives free food and needles to drug addicts, the problem will never be resolved. But this is my take on this situation. It's very subjective, and I'm not an expert. What do you think about existing problems related to homeless and substance abuse in cities like San Francisco and LA? And how would you solve the problem if it was up to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And again, almost every city is dealing with this in some way or other. I guess the first thing I would try to do is separate the issue of homelessness from other things that are problematic on the streets. People sometimes conflate homelessness and panhandlers. They're not the same. Not every homeless person panhandles. Not every panhandler is homeless. Homeless people face a variety of different issues. So the big learning in all of this is that I think the idea of, give a man a fish and he eats for a day, or teach a man to fish and he eats for a lifetime, that's a mantra that one of my predecessors used all the time. So that makes it makes a good deal of sense. And what we've learned over time is that the issues on the streets, whether they be homelessness or mental illness or drug addiction, it's multifaceted. It's never just one cause. It's a number of different. It can be mental illness. It can be loss of a job. It can be domestic problems. It can be substance abuse. There's lots of different things. So what many of these districts are doing, and I think San Francisco is now starting to do it as well. We do this here in Cincinnati, and I know they do it in Tampa, is that the downtown organizations provide outreach workers. They're people that actually go out onto the streets and engage with people that are, in some level of distress. They build relationships and trust to kind of learn who they are, what their issues are, and try to connect them as best they can with services. At the same time, housing is a huge issue in cities, and Tampa's no different. And how we make sure that there's a place for everybody to be. So, is there affordable housing? Is there housing for everybody? And how do they get connected with the housing? So what the downtown organizations do is really help to convene and collaborate to address and solve some of those problems. But you're right, they're left unaddressed. They can really, they can lead to disease. They can lead to, economic distress in cities. So it's been one of the major focuses of our kinds of organizations, really, almost from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. So, but what would be the first tangible steps in solving it? Or is it impossible to solve problems like this?
Well, one thing that I think I would tell you is that no one organization owns the problem. The problem doesn't belong to the downtown organization or any of this particular social services. So the first step is establishing collaborations between social service providers, police, the downtown organization. Sometimes the religious community can be involved in this, medical communities can be involved in this, so that all these different entities are talking to each other, which they often didn't do. The next thing is to begin to engage the community. And that's the social service outreach. That's actually getting out, kind of knowing, who the population is, what the issues are, and almost solving problems one thing at a time. And then, of course, there are some legislative things. What is the tolerance for allowing people to sleep in public spaces? And different cities and different places, have different, different rules regarding that. But largely, it's the collaboration that's kind of the number one thing. Prior to these downtown organizations helping to pull this all together, that wasn't happening. And then it's that outreach that's actually getting out there, because I think, most people would look at, a city and say, wow, we're incredibly generous. I mean, we give a lot of money to our community foundations, to our United Way, to our social services. And they may be a little bit frustrated thinking that, we're giving all this money and, still we're having all these, issues out on the streets. How can that happen? That's where an effective center city organization can build these collaborations to make sure that all that people that are in need are getting connected with all these different entities that are really there to help them. And it makes a difference, makes a big difference.